Hi guys, welcome to the Friendly Differences podcast with me, Baram Yu, my co-host, Solid Blue Sister, and tonight we have a familiar face, Michael Kee, who has been on the gun control and the immigration episodes, and you were also a caller in on the COVID show. Mm-hmm. So a familiar face and a Podbean show as well that we all love, the Real Conservative Talk show. That for the UK people that's listening, he comes on roughly about midnight, I think. So it is a bit late, but it's a show that you guys, if you're into politics and things, and you know, I would say it's more conservative based. Is it, Michael?
Oh yeah, I would say so. Yeah, for sure. It's not like, you know, extremely right wing QAnon at all.
But as a liberal, it pushes some of my buttons. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. But she
still tunes in. But she still comes and listens, so it's not pissing her off too much, okay?
I listen to a lot of things, but I listen to it, number one, because I'm supporting Michael. And number two, I can get some of my ideas across. And number three, I listen to everything. I want to hear what everyone has to say.
Well, that's why we love you, Solid Blue, because you challenge your beliefs. Mm-hmm. No, but it's true. Like that's why I've always felt that people, again, on the left, for me, only because of the circles that I go in, it's hard to get someone on from the left to debate or to talk. Even like in the conspiracy scene where I'm in, it's hard to get a non-conspiracy theorist to come on and debate a conspiracy theorist. I don't know why that is. And since I found you and your show, and you know, I just love what we're doing here, because I think people who live in their own echo chambers, like you were telling me about someone, and I won't mention their name today, who blocks people for disagreeing with them on Twitter. And I was like, there's too many of that out there. Like there's a guy that I've kind of had pushback with, and I've interviewed him on my show. And he was an ex-conspiracy theorist. He was a conspiracy theorist for 15 years and then decided one day, this is all rubbish. And he starts now challenging conspiracy theorists like myself. So I had him on. And since I've had him on, like, we had a great conversation. Anyone can check it out. And he was nice as ninepence, said I was a great guy. And then now we're on Twitter having these, like, I'm commenting on his posts, kind of giving him some pushback. And it's like he hates it. He actually went for me the other week there, calling me names and things, saying that I'm an annoying gnat and that I should just disappear. And I'm like, I'm not trying to offend him or anyway. I'm just giving him pushback, saying, look, have you checked this? Have you done that? And for me, those people, they're doing themselves a disservice. And I'm searching for truth. And if I was to disregard anything someone said to me, whether it's about, you know, flat earth or 9/11, any of my conspiracy theories, or even on a political issue, and I was just to go, oh, that's nonsense, and then just walk away, I'm not going to get to the truth. So that's why I think hats off to, you know, you were just saying you like to go into Michael's show and you're hearing things and you're developing thoughts and you're pushing back, which is great. We'll love that. And it's the same for us as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
See, and that's why I say that, you know, I don't like to hear people, there's one person on Podbean who does this a lot. I'm not going to call any names, but this person, every time this person is on a conservative show, they'll throw out some comments about someone on the left. And it just irritates me, because it's like, and maybe it's just me, because like I said, I'll call out people in my own party in a minute. You know, I've called out my mother on things where she's done stuff. I'm like, Are you kidding me? I mean, you just, whatever. So I'm just saying that, while you're dissing people on one side, you got to look at the people on the other side. You got to look at the people that are in the middle. You got to look at, because we're all doing stuff that we shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand that, you like a certain person, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, you look at this person, you look at this person, just be honest to admit that, come on.
Yeah.
So.
I think a lot of it has to do with the topic. I've become more aware of trying not to say the left, right? But I do criticize the left.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I find myself criticizing the left more depending on what I'm talking about. Like if I'm talking about, the trans swimmer, that's a leftist, that's like leftist ideology, at least not old leftist though. It's only like, it's not even, I don't even know if it's leftist. It's like far leftist.
But it's the progressive.
Yeah, that's maybe the better word. Yeah,
so when you say left, it's like, are you talking progressive, or are you talking about the left? When you talk about the right, are you talking about the far right? Like, yes, I'm gonna call them out. Yes, these Proud Boys and what have you, and some of these other nuts. I'm sorry, I have to say that.
So that's a good.
So what are you talking about?
So that's a good point right there. We always go off a spectrum of left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we think, okay, far right, white supremacy, Nazi kind of deal, right? Or far left is like communist,
Marxism.
ultra, yeah.
Socialism.
But in reality, that's not true. Because that spectrum of right and left there's a difference between a conservative and a Republican. Now, a lot of Republicans align with conservatism, and a lot of conservatives are registered Republicans like myself.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I'm very quick to criticize Republicans because there are Republicans like a McCain or who was the guy from Ohio that ran in the primaries with Trump? He was the governor, I think. But he was
talking about, yeah.
He was almost center left, it seemed like, And so you have that. And then there's Democrats that are conservative. Tulsi Gabbard is probably center right.
I don't consider her on the left at all.
But she's still registered Democrat.
Right, she is.
And she's a younger person too, so it's not even that old school Democrat. She's not very old. But in reality, if you look at Nazis, their economic ideology and some of the stuff that they talk about would actually align with the extreme left that we have today, with the whole cancel culture, with the whole socialist values, because Nazi stands for Nationalist Socialist Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually the opposite of what people on the right would necessarily align with. But so I think a lot of the right and the left has been painted in recent times with the extremes I'm talking about, with the whole, like you said, the Proud Boys, or the QAnon's more like a conspiracy deal, but like whatever, just those far right extremists or the far left extremists, they're really not. But you have your CNNs and your Fox Newses and your mainstream medias that are saying, oh, Trump's a racist, and then this person's worse than Trump, so they're because Trump's on the right, they're way on the right, but they're really not. They're just a whole different classification that's not even on that spectrum. And I think that we've generalized it, but in reality, we need to start separating it, because you're on the left, but you have also said I believe you have your own business too, right, Lisa? Mm-hmm. So you are not a communist, because if you were, then you wouldn't believe in private ownership of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not on the far left. Just like I'm not, I don't consider myself racist at all. I don't go around waving, racist flags and protesting black people and stuff. So I'm not on the far right, but I am on the right. And so I think that it's a problem, because then we start generalizing it. Then all of a sudden it goes from, okay, you're right. Oh, now you're automatically racist no matter where you're at on the right. And then you're on the left, you're automatically a socialist and a communist no matter where you're at on the left.
And see, and that's why, and that's why, I get on Bob about that, because it's like you can't keep saying the left, the left, the left, the left, the left. Well, who are you talking about? And when you say, well, the conservatives have more morals and stuff, and again, I can point out stuff. Well, who are the people doing this? Who are the people doing that? So if you want to look at morals, I have to bring this up. Sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
But you look at African Americans, which it bugs me. 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 You want to talk about morals? It's like every time somebody gets killed, oh, we forgive you. We forgive you. Or you look at gay rights and what have you. A lot of African Americans, they voted against that. We're into our Bibles and what have you. And I look at what Obama did. I was talking to Shy Lady about this yesterday. I was talking to another friend about this, but anyway, she said, yeah, with the LGBTQ, and then she made a joke about it. She said XYZP, whatever it is, whatever.
She stole my joke.
And she's a friend of mine who I live next door with, played with her since I was 2, she said that if you look at Obama had a very hard time coming out with the same-sex marriage thing. He had a hard time getting there. He did not. I mean, He was being pushed and pushed and pushed, and he was like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. The next thing you know, the White House is lit up in the rainbow colors, whatever. And he was like, to this day, I think that he went and said, Michelle, I just don't want to go there. I do not believe Obama believed in that same-sex marriage at all. But he was being pushed in that direction.
Yeah, and as much as I don't like Obama's politics, as much as I think he was a terrible president, all right, I praise him for how well he's raised his family and kept his family together. Like you can definitely respect and look up for him for that. And when you think about it, that probably plays into it too, right? You can see that he obviously has family values. He obviously has a respect for the institution of marriage, and maybe that plays into it. I think, it's always funny to me because especially with Black people is they vote left, but when you talk to them, they have, and you're not gonna like what I say, but they have conservative values, and what we always just think on the top of our head are conservative. Maybe they're not conservative, but when you listen to them talk, it's like you align more with me than you do the other side.
But Michael, when you say conservative values, I don't like that term, because you're making it sound like anybody who is on the left, we have no values whatsoever, that we have no morals.
Yeah, no. That's why I didn't like the conservative word. When I mean conservative, I'm not even referring to politically. I'm talking about conservative, like the true term conservative, like conserving the institution of marriage, right? Or conserving certain morals and values that you start seeing more people on the left. I would say, like I said, it's not the Black people on the left, it's the white people on the left, really, that are going away from that stuff, and they're changing. The progressives, I guess you could say, right? And so that's why I said you weren't going to like when I say conservative. I wasn't necessarily referring to conservative as a political term there. I'm talking about conserving, certain values that we were brought, your grandmother gave to you, your mom gave to you, and it's been passed down through.
But you have people on the left that feel that way. But when it comes to people of color, I think, and I've said this before, I think one reason why we, or at least I'm gonna speak for myself, why I have a hard time getting, ever voting on the right, is because the right has done so many things that just blocks us. I mean, if you look at the whole voting rights bill, you had not one person on the right who voted for that. And then you look at what they did. And see, it was Obama's second term when they totally just went and dismantled, you know, a lot of safeguards that people of color needed. I mean, when we got the right to vote in the South, they were still having people count jelly beans in the jar.
Yeah.
Or you look at Fannie Lou Hamer, it took her 3 times to vote because they said you have to be able to read this entire ballot. She knew who she wanted to vote for. She knew the names, but she couldn't read.
Mm-hmm.
But you weren't having, an illiterate white person do that. And that's one thing that the Voting Rights Bill of 1964, I always get it mixed up, 64, 65, that's one thing that it did, that you couldn't do things like this, and it targeted certain areas. And you have now the Republican Party who is blocking that. There's just so many things that we can't do because of what you all are doing.
But so I don't, the voting rights bill back in the 60s, I don't know, but the one that they were trying to pass, there was 2, right? There was what is this, something Lewis, John Lewis?
The John Lewis, yeah.
And then the other one was just the thing. I read both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not blocking that bill because of any safeguards or limitations to people voting. They're blocking the bill because it nationalized voting and it undermines the Electoral College. And you know how I feel about the Electoral College.
Right.
And all that. That's why I would have voted against it too.
Okay, but Michael, don't you think that, and Bob, I want to also ask you this because I don't know how it is in the UK, but don't you think that there are certain bills or laws that should be national?
No,
I mean, because I look at COVID. I think one reason why COVID was so messed up the way it rolled out was because you had 50 different people having 50 different ideas when the federal government just should have said, this is what we're going to do.
No, the bill is national. When I mean nationalize the vote, is they were trying to turn it more towards a popular vote system. So when I say nationalize it, right now, we have the Electoral College, so the states have a certain amount of electoral votes, and it gives certain states, especially ones with different demographics and maybe lower populations, it gives them an equal proportionate representation. So no, the bill would have been a federal bill, but it would have been for the whole country. It wouldn't have mattered. But when you nationalize it and turn it towards a more popular vote, all right, especially when it's the Democrats doing it, because more people in the United States are Democrat, and the majority of people that live in the big cities are Democrat, and they know that. And so when you go to a more popular vote, all right, you will completely undermine not just the Republican Party, who cares about that, you'll undermine all of the people that are living in the middle United States. You will undermine the people in the South, the people in the rural North, because the largest 13 cities lying on the coast will be able to elect the president every single time. And they are making decisions for all of the people in the center of the country.
Can I make a quick interjection just before you go on, Solid? See this little bit here. I don't actually know what you are talking about. I'm trying to stay along, right? But see what I'm hearing there is you believe one thing. Michael clearly has done a little bit of digging, and I'm not saying you haven't, but you're probably being told that from, and I'm not putting words in your mouth. You're maybe being told that from CNN. He's being told that. Listen, wait. You're being told that from one source. He's being told it from another source that it's this reason, and now the 2 years are arguing over why. That's what I see, and I normally, and I could be wrong here, is why I side with conservatism, because I see the left doing that more than the right. I see that the news are telling you and the left and the people one thing, but if you dig into that story, you'll find that there's actually another reason, and that other reason's the real reason. And I don't.
I can totally tell you that That's not true. And
It
like
goes both
Michael,
ways. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
read,
I know. Yeah.
I have read, both things, but it does go both ways. So you're saying the left, but also the right.
Yeah.
Michael, I have to disagree with you because I understand what you're saying in terms of the popular vote and what have you, and the largest city. You're absolutely right. But what has happened is now, since we don't have that, you have these other states, which are mostly red, who have now gone in and have made laws like, well, when we count the ballots, if we don't want this ballot, we're going to throw it out. Or if, even though it says that this person won, but if we decide that we want this person in, we're going to put this person in. So now you have, you may not have voted for this because it's going to make it where, the popular vote and Democrats will win. But now what has happened was these laws are coming in where Republicans are basically saying, screw whatever people say at the ballot. We don't care. If we are going to decide who is going to be in this job.
So I have a good way to put it for you, and I think you'll agree with this, is there's no compromise. For one, it doesn't seem like there was anyway on the bill.
Right.
And it's like one side doesn't respect, like what you were saying, it feels like, and then the other side doesn't respect the whole institution of our voting system as a whole, it seemed like. And this goes back to the COVID stimulus packages, all three of them, the two under Trump and the one under Biden. It doesn't matter. But the one under Biden did have one section in there you probably hear about a lot. And it's just the one that comes to my head because it was the most outrageous. And that was, we sent like what, $20 or $30 million to Pakistan to do gender studies.
Now, and I thought that was like, seriously?
Yeah. But all three bills, all right, had money allocated for things that had nothing to do with COVID.
Yep.
The problem, and I will say this, and I don't know what the ratio was, but it did seem like the Democrats, and not so much all the Democrats, but Pelosi keeps coming to mind, that she was the one that was wanting to throw shit in there all the time that had nothing to do with COVID. So it was like, okay, we know we need to pass stimulus, but we're going to throw little things in there just to get, try and push an agenda because we have the majority of the House and the Senate at the moment. And under Trump, they still had the majority of the House and the Senate at the end. So that's where, and it goes both ways. And I don't think, if you're going to do a voting bill, you need to say, okay, it's not the Electoral College that's the problem, but then you run into the issue is that there are Democrats that are trying to actually abolish the Electoral College. Because there was one in January, I have the bill printed out here somewhere, where they proposed legislation that was strictly, let's abolish the Electoral College.
But but at the same time though, Michael, but you also have Republicans who are doing the best that they can to redraw the voting lines. Yeah. They're changing laws.
I have a problem with that too.
But that doesn't affect the presidential election. Are very repressive. Yeah. that they have passed. And since the reason why I say you do a boycott, hit them in the pocket where it hurts, and people don't want to hear that because they know that we could literally, and I'm not even talking nationwide anymore. I'm talking about international. I'm talking about, and no, because I say this because the amount of money that Black people spend just in America alone, and then when I look to see how much Black people affect the entire globe, we do a boycott for 1 month, we can literally cripple this entire world.
See that comment there.
But hold on. But people don't want to hear this because it's like there's truth. There is truth to it. So it's like, so what do we keep doing? Do we keep allowing things like voter suppression? You have in the Ukraine, which I don't support at all, because you have all these people of color who are being told you can't even get on a bus to get out of the country. You have to wait. They're not telling other people this. And you go around the world and you look at just people of color and how much they have been affected by just so many things that are just wrong.
Now, the ones in Ukraine, are they Ukrainian citizens?
No.
Okay. So then they should have been able to get out. And I think I saw something. There's a lot of them were Nigerian.
Yes,
Right?
and
Is that what it was?
and they were students. Yes.
Yeah, they were trying to get out, and then they were checking. I think I'm just gonna tell you probably what they thought. Honestly, I'm just gonna be honest about it. Is Ukraine's all white, right? And they're coming to the border, and they had you have Nigerians coming to the border. They're probably a little more cautious, wondering who they're allowing into Poland because they're giving all of them asylum, letting them in, right? So they probably were like, well, we don't know. But then again, there should have been pretty easy to verify. And Nigeria, I would imagine, should have called Poland or some of these other countries. I don't know if they did or didn't. I'm just saying you would hope that the United States in that situation would have said to Poland or whoever, hey, we have these people.
But Poland also has Nigerian people, and even coming here to the U.S., we are denying those same people of color to come in here. Yeah. So this is this is what I'm saying. So
why would they come here though if they're Nigerian students? Why wouldn't they just go back to Nigeria?
I mean, true, but I'm saying, but on a whole though, it's like whenever you have someone of color, just like with the Haitian people, we'll let people from Mexico in, we'll let people from El Salvador in, but you have Haitians or something, they don't let any, seriously. And
I think we've talked about this. I brought that up about that bridge incident.
So when I say a whole international thing, it's like people may get up in arms, but it's like the only way people listen to us is when it starts to hit the pocketbook.
Mm-hmm. And you're right as far as it would crush economies, right? I mean, you're a big enough population, especially in the United States, spend enough money that would hurt. The problem is you would actually crush black-owned businesses too.
Yes.
And a lot of black people would lose their jobs because they're working for employers that would. So it would also hurt it'd be self-defeating at the same time.
Okay, but hold on. But I did my research on this. I did my research on this, and I actually ended up calling some of my family members, whatever, who are still alive, who went through some of the stuff back in the 60s and what have you. And when I was asking them, what happened, what have you, my father's family is mostly from Alabama. And from the city that he's in, if you go to that city, our family, everybody knows who we are. We are a very...
We're at in Alabama?
Huntsville.
Okay. We have property in Troy. That's what I was wondering.
So, I mean, people know our name, and when I was asking them, I said, well, when this thing happened, what did you all do? Because I know that for a whole year, what did you all do? And they said, yes, some of us lost our jobs, but this is where you get together. And this is one thing that they did very well during civil rights. A lot of people lost their jobs for a lot of different things. They were losing their jobs left and right, whatever. But you had that community that was there to help people and pick them up, whatever. And that's one thing that when we can get together, that's something that we do very well.
I will say that there would be a difference, and I'll tell you what the difference is. The first thing is you're talking about a general area. You're talking about the South. If they boycotted anything, it would have been in the South at that point in time.
Yes.
The other thing is that there's a distinct line at that time because of segregation of what the black-owned businesses were and the white-owned businesses. Now you have black people that worked for white people back then, so those were the ones that were impacted, may have lost their jobs and whatnot. But even with that boycott, they could strategically do it where they weren't boycotting black businesses. So even though they may have hurt a little bit, it actually may have somewhat bumped up the black businesses because they would have been focusing on going there. Although in the South, they would have been. It's harder to do that now, though. But it's harder to do that.
True. I mean, okay, Ba, you wanted to say something, so
I'm all for your boycott as long as it's done properly and. I've been saying that for long enough. I think when Bernie and Trump, when Bernie and Biden and all that, and I saw here in the UK, we've talked about this a few times, where to me it looked as if Bernie was going to be the next president, and it was that big. Like we were being shown it all the time. I was seeing it amongst people that I knew, even here in the UK. A lot of them were socialists. They were posting up pictures of Bernie and even Karl Marx and all that. and saying that socialism's the best way and all that. And I'm going, you're crazy.
Churchill would be so pissed. He's rolling in his grave right now that there's people in England and the UK that are communists.
Yeah. But it's all university students that are all, it's the younger age group. Me and Solid have spoken about this a few times, and I'm laughing because I know one of my wife's best friends, who we ended up having to just delete each other because we were at it, and she's posting up pictures on our Instagram about socialism. Meanwhile, she's holding her iPhone 12, drinking a Starbucks, and it's hypocrisy. So I'm saying, if you're going to do that, do it right. I'm all for that. I've told all my friends, and I do fail a lot, but instead of going to Starbucks and Cafe Nero's, I should be supporting the mom and pop shops. And that's what COVID has done, is take away the mom and pop shops, where it's now you go down the high street and it's all they're even going to open up Amazon stores here that you've got to scan to get in. It's cashless, and you buy your groceries and it's all cashless. That's what the future is going to be. And I think it's too late now, but that's why I'm saying I'm all for that, as long as you target, your Amazons, your Googles, your Apples, your, all the big, I'm all for that.
I totally get that. And, number one, I would definitely support, Black business owners. But you all may be too young to remember this. But you can look it up. In 1999, there was a young lady here in California. I had not moved to California yet. Her name was Natasha or Latasha Harlins. And she was killed by a Korean business owner. She had gone into the store. This was in Los Angeles. She had gone into the store, and the woman was very rude to her. And Latasha had a can of soda and some chips in her hands. And whatever happened, they got into this altercation, this verbal altercation. Latasha, she's 15 years old, calls the woman a bitch, sets the soda and chips down on the counter, turns around to leave, and the Korean business owner shoots her in the head.
In the back of the head?
The back of the head.
Oh, wow.
But and people were in the store. Video cameras showed it. She wasn't trying to steal anything, whatever. I think Latasha said that they got into this thing because Latasha said, "Why do you have to be so rude to us? Every time we come in here, you're always so rude, and we're spending money in your store." And they got into this big thing. So Latasha put her stuff down, and she turned around, walked. She called the lady a bitch, turned around, was walking away, and she got shot in the head. So there's an uproar, whatever, and this Korean businesswoman, all she got was probation.
In California? Wow.
That's it. Now,
for murder.
And hold on, and we had and again, I keep saying it's funny that you keep saying California, because California was deep red. No, I know, but you look at this and you go through and you see how many probations, or they got off, whatever. But if this Korean businesswoman was Black, she would have gone to prison. So I say that to say that after that happened, the Black people started boycotting Koreatown and Korean businesses.
And then I wonder how many Chinese and Japanese businesses were hurting that.
Almost devastated them. And the store that was the main issue, the husband gets on TV and says, "I can't believe these people are boycotting us. These people are destroying our business," and which made these people more pissed. And they said, "Okay, you know what? we're going to teach you all a lesson, because the only thing you all understand is money.
Yeah, we can't fix stupidity, right?
No, but I'm just saying. So you may not agree with it, but were they wrong to stop shopping at this particular store?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole Korean community was behind this store owner, who committed blatant murder.
Go ahead, and go ahead, Bob, because I have something to say.
So the black community boycott all Korean stores because of this murder.
That's what I was about to say.
Or just this store.
They started off with just this store, but the whole community, the Korean community, they agreed with what this store owner did.
Gotcha.
So they're like, "You're going to agree on murder?
Because
we're going to boycott everybody." So you're going to tell me that they should not have done that? And
no,
it was in Koreatown, so it mainly affected the Korean businesses, what have you. But I'm just saying, so then you're going to complain like you just killed somebody. You're going to say that these people are not coming to shop in my store. Well, you just killed one of these people.
Mm-hmm. So, was it a racial? Did they say it was racially charged? Like before the Koreans came out and said you people thing, did they say that it was racially charged before that, or was it just a stupid decision by the owner to shoot?
It was never said that it was racially charged, but one thing that I guess Tasha's friends who were in the store with her, every time they went into this one particular store, the Korean wife, whatever, who she was the one who was like following them around the store. And then they noticed that, well, when white people come in here, you don't do this. Why are you so rude to us? Why do you have to be so rude? And she had, and the thing about it is when she killed her, when she in her hand, she had money to pay. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, you have to remember she put the stuff down on the counter and was walking out. She was basically saying, "Screw it, I don't want it," whatever, and was walking out. But she had the money in her hand to pay. And then the Korean woman said she felt threatened. Okay, so now you're threatened by someone whose back is turned to you, is walking out, and you're threatened. But your husband's going to complain about these people not shopping in your store, and they're hurting your business because you need these people because you set up shop, around these neighborhoods, whatever, and you count on us coming in to shop.
So the husband's the one that made the comment about these people? Yes. And it was his store? And he was referring to his store?
It was his store and his wife's.
And so what he said obviously was referring and making it racial at that point when he said these people, but he was still referring to a store. I was thinking it was the Korean community came out and was saying, these people aren't shopping in the stores because of
but what made them boycott the rest of the stores was because the Korean community they were supporting this woman and felt that what she did was okay, that that she was in fear for her life. And they're like, how are you gonna be in fear for somebody? First of all, she's shot in the back of the head. She's walking out the store. There's witnesses. You see this on camera. How is she in fear for her life? She's trying to leave.
So I want to give you another scenario though on why the boycott would be difficult. Because again, I do agree. It would do what you're saying it's gonna do, right? I mean, it would be terrible for the economy. But would you boycott Lowe's? Yeah. It's a publicly traded company now. Think about it. It's publicly traded. It's not black owned, but it's black run. The CEO is black. Yeah. So you would boycott them?
My point is making a statement that this is going on. This has been going on, whatever. Every time we protest, you all are complaining about, a BLM woman buying a $6 million house, but how many of these other people are buying homes, whatever, but yet you choose, again, this picking and choosing, okay, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, but the only way you all listen to us is with money.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
Don't you think it looks extremely bad when BLM's buying mansions? They're not buying office buildings. They're not buying real estate. Like, they're
In white
buying houses
neighborhoods.
that they're living in white neighborhoods too. Yeah, I mean, what
Yeah.
I wouldn't say white neighborhoods, especially in the South, because she bought in Georgia, I believe, and
Yeah.
another one in the South that can be mixed. You get
But
that, but
I'm also talking about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama buying a house on the edge of a cliff when climate change, and it's also in a white neighborhood as well. It's just,
well,
I just like to point
that's
those things out.
elevated out of the water, and they do well.
Okay, so does that mean that all these other white politicians or white people who are buying mansions, we're not supposed to look at them, but as soon as
no, you are.
No, you are.
Yeah,
That's
so
the beauty.
What I'm getting at, it's not because of what BLM represents. All right, because I think a lot of people agree that there's not a problem with what BLM is trying to do, but there is a problem with what BLM actually does. And so, like the Pelosi's, they have a nonprofit. The Clintons have a nonprofit. I know how they wash money through the nonprofit with the Pelosi's and their investments. They need to be looking at that, right? BLM operates the same way. So when you have one of the founders of BLM buying a $6 million mansion, well, obviously she's making far more than $6 million probably. And it's a nonprofit. I haven't seen one BLM office. I don't know how many employees they have. I don't know any of that. But the nonprofit, to be a nonprofit, they can bring in as much money as they want, but they have to break even.
Right.
And they maintain the tax statuses too. So what they're doing is they're taking advantage of the tax systems, and then they're paying themselves substantial income. I'll have to go look and see how many employees they have, but it's probably not that much. If they're paying,
Michael, the problem that I have is, once again, it's like this picking and choosing. It's like, oh my God, BLM is doing this, but
oh no, churches are guilty too. I think.
But how many other organizations?
A lot.
You look at
crazy.
UNICEF, the Red Cross, a lot of these other people. You look at religious places who these pastors, these mega churches.
Were you at the end of my show last night?
Live in these mansions, and they're flying around in these private jets and what have you.
Did you not? You were in my show last night at the end when I talked about that.
Yes.
Did I not go off about the American Red Cross?
No, yes.
Oh no, I don't care.
I'm just saying that it's like, is BLM doing something shady? Maybe, possibly.
Yes.
Maybe not. Maybe yes, whatever.
Yes.
Are these mega churches doing something shady?
Yes.
Maybe not. Maybe yes, whatever. But once again, it just, for me, and I haven't even, honestly, I have not watched TV in weeks because I'm tired of hearing about the Ukraine. I'm sick and tired. Every time I turn on TV, I'm hearing about the Ukraine. I don't want to hear it. Seriously. So
that's because you've been listening to me saying, turn off your TV.
It's because of the Ukraine. I'm actually starting to, when my husband has the TV on, listen, because he listens to local news, which I never listen to. I'm actually hearing like, oh, that happened here. That I don't even know what's going on in my own state because I don't listen to local news so much, but I'm just saying that everybody picks and chooses. Every politician, every one of them is corrupt in some way.
They are. And I don't pick and choose. I don't care. I'll credit it because it's wrong is wrong is wrong, right? BLM's in the spotlight though, because they are they have you just had all the riots in 2020. You had a lot of stuff, and they are a growing organization. Like they have a lot of influence. If you think they don't, they do a lot of influence now. It's amazing how fast it's grown with influence wise. And so I think that's what kind of puts them towards the front of the line, maybe with some of that exposure and bad press. But there's a lot of organizations doing the same thing. You can go look at Joel Osteen. All right. How the hell is a preacher? Okay. I know he got a book deal or whatever, but so does a lot of people. Okay. What the hell is he writing a book about? God? That's the Bible. Come on. And he's living on millions of dollars. And then it looks even worse during Hurricane Harvey when Houston it's another Katrina-esque event. And he's not letting anyone into the church. Right. And him too, the American Red Cross, the Clinton Foundation, the Pelosi's, and then any other Republican or any politician that's laundering money through a nonprofit, because I know exactly why they do it. All right? Because I will never forget it was within the first weeks of me working at Mutual of Omaha, and we were doing some training because every, Monday and Wednesday or so, we did like a 4-hour, like just going over different scenarios and how some of this stuff works. And they brought up the nonprofits and what they do, right? And when I heard that, I was just like, oh my gosh, it just opened my world to everything going on. And the problem is it's not all illegal the way that some of them do it. Like when Pelosi, even though I have a problem with it, and I know why, it's about the intent, right? But the intent doesn't matter. It's about what they can do legally. When Pelosi's transferring $4 million of Facebook shares into a nonprofit and only donating $130,000, but he's keeping the money tied up in those shares, so they're unrealized gains, and then he can turn around and get it to where he can pay himself or his wife back in tax-free income down the road, or his heirs. Like, there's ways around it, right? Is it illegal? No. Can you blame him for doing it? No. Is it right? Absolutely not, because you know why they're doing it, and they preach the opposite.
No, and I totally agree with you 100%, because I'm gonna go back to Dick Cheney when the Iran war, was going on with him and his whole Blackwater or whatever. What he did with that, it was like, are you kidding me? This is a man who used to be an alcoholic, worked as a telephone repairman, and now
Bush too.
You look at how much, yes, and you look at how much power these people have. But Michael, I want to ask you something, because you said that you disagreed with Obama in terms of he was a lousy leader, whatever, but you think that he raised his family well, and I think that he did a great job with his family. I think the same thing with George Bush. I think with his 2 girls, I think that George and Laura Bush did a good job with raising their kids. I like the fact that the Bushes and Chelsea Clinton, one thing that they always did was, you may not agree with Chelsea's views or whatever, but when for both the Bush kids and Chelsea Clinton, when they went after Trump's son, Barron, they were right there saying, you leave the kids alone. You don't go after the kids. And I know the Bush daughters protected the Obama girls when they first went to the White House, and people were talking about them in some really nasty ways. And they, did that. So do you think that the Bushes also that they did a good job raising their daughters?
I don't, I was younger when he was in office, right? And I think they were older at the time too, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I don't remember a lot, and I don't know a whole lot. I think that the same can be said about all of Trump's kids. For the most part, they're go to school, they're out of trouble, they don't drink, they don't, you may not agree with their politics, but they aren't doing anything bad. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Hunter Biden. That's the only one, right? And I think that now, I know you said you hadn't been watching TV lately, but and if you look, because you're laughing about the Trump thing, Chelsea Clinton is in with the whole Clinton Foundation, all the illegal stuff that they're doing. She
is. And Hunter Biden, you know what? If he's doing everything that they say he did, well, you know what, Hunter? If your daddy's running for president, there are some things that you just shouldn't do. Yeah. But when I look at the Trumps, whatever, and I look at Ivanka's, all the things that she did with getting those contracts with China, and just, whatever. And I'm just saying that
we're not going to go down this road because we have a whole Hunter Biden thing.
I'm just saying that for Hunter Biden, his computer, the Ukraine, whatever, if you did it, it was stupid. And when it first came out, I was saying, oh my God, I said, this is why if you're running for office, or if your mama's running for office, or your daddy's running for office, either you know how to cover stuff up well so you don't get caught, or you just don't do it. And I look at Biden, I look at Trump, I look at Bush, I look at Cheney, I look at Clinton, and just say you all were all idiots. Because when the public eye is on you, I'm looking at all of them. When the public eye is on you, things start to come out.
Did Ivanka get those contracts before Trump was elected? I believe she did. A lot of Ivanka's business was before Trump was elected. She had been doing that for a while, right?
Yes, but some of it, but hold on, but some of it was also after. But one thing that I will say about Trump is with all the stuff that you're accused of, whether it's true or not, you would have been better off not running for president, because all your business would not have been in the street and you would not be where you are.
Yeah.
And I say, I mean, and this is one reason why I say when you run for office, I don't care if you're running for dog catcher. If somebody has the ability to go into your background, it's clean, which a lot of people, most of them aren't. Y'all just should stay home. And
it's invasive. What I was just getting at though is the difference between the two is the Biden has been in office for 40 something years and in a powerful office, not even just vice president, right? And Hunter has leveraged that. And when you go back with the Ukraine thing, and I've done extensive research and shown all the evidence and contracts and stuff, Biden was vice president at the time. And now he's president. He's not, Hunter Biden's not doing any of that stuff right now. He's just experiencing the fallout. But his dad was already in office and had those connections politically, right? Which is a lot stronger than just business connections when you're a private business owner. And that's the difference. But if Ivanka's getting those contracts when Trump's in office, that's wrong. It is. And I'm going to remain consistent on it.
If Hunter Biden, you're leveraging yourself because your father's senator or your VP and stuff, sooner or later, it's going to come out.
Oh, it's coming out.
Sooner or later, all this stuff is going to come out, and you're stupid. It just shows your stupidity.
He's under federal investigation right now.
See this conversation right here. I'm so glad that I've never voted and I'll never vote. If you took someone from another planet and sat them here and let them listen to you two just now, they would think you were talking about a movie. What? They're funneling money. There's sex trafficking. There's a laptop. Oh, who got found out? Oh, he'll get found out in the next show. This is what we're putting up with. I can't stand it.
You know what I tell that person from another planet? You obviously got worse problems for you to have to come here. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to hear
you're from Jamaica,
from wherever. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I went there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I was like you. I'm not going to sound patronizing, but I was like, I love Trump. When I got into politics back in 2016, I loved what Trump stood for, his politics. And I believed in the facade that all these people were actually hating each other and that it was all, but then you find out they've all got shit on them. Every one of them. There's not one person that you can name in the whole of government or Congress that hasn't got shit on them. And I find it so sad that 330 million people in America, and these are the people that are your leaders, and you haven't got much to choose from. And it's same everywhere. Here in the UK, we've got an idiot, Boris Johnson, who's married to a satanic witch who does plays. She literally is. She does a play. She did a play the other night honoring the life of Aleister Crowley, and there's a picture of her being put online where she's like, she must be about 14, 15 years of age, and she's got the satanic star and Satan across her, like written in black marker. And these are the people that we're voting for, and we have no choice.
Well, that brings up a good point, though. And I've told you should do a show on this, Lisa, right? Mm-hmm. Because for whatever reason, a lot of people don't realize you can write in anybody on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
You should always vote. Hell, vote for yourself. Vote for whoever you think would be the best. You can, if you wanted to vote Bernie Sanders, he didn't make it to the general election. You could still vote for him, right? I can vote for myself. I can go vote for Lisa. I could vote for you, Ball, even though it would be null and void because you don't qualify for the presidency here. But still, you can write in whoever. Kanye West got 25,000 votes. All right, and he barely made the ballot. So when people say, "Oh, I didn't vote because I didn't like the candidates. We didn't have good choices." You mean out of 330 million fucking people, you didn't know who to vote for? Like,
Fair enough.
You know, you can write in whoever.
No, and you're absolutely right, and that's why, you know, when Bob and I did a chat thing, and I was talking about the Bernie people getting so upset in 2016, then they got upset again in 2020. I have a friend. I was like, "Well, did you vote?" No. I was like, "Then shut the fuck up." You know, you didn't vote at all. I mean, seriously, it's like you don't have a say. You don't get a chance to complain that Hillary won and Bernie didn't, or Biden won and you know, Bernie didn't win, and then you're going to complain about Trump. I don't want to hear you complain about Trump if you didn't vote. And like you said, Michael, you could have gone in, you could have voted for it, you could have put your dog's name in. But at least you exercise your right to vote. But if you didn't do that at all, I don't want to hear you complain about anyone. To me, you don't have that right.
Exactly. And please tell me if there's another equivalent example, because I'm sure there is. I just off the top of my head, but the one that comes to mind because it was recent. All right, with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, did I like him kneeling? No, but I have maintained the view that he has the fundamental right to do so. Right. So just because I don't like it, you know, and maybe I don't, you know, I don't think he was. I think he was a terrible quarterback when you statistically he was benched before that. So you could have that argument. I think it was disrespectful, but he had the right to do it. And I get what he was saying. But where I had a major problem is when it came out and he said he didn't vote. And he had all of the protests caused that whole big stir, and he still is to this day, but he didn't vote in the presidential election. That was all at that time, you know, just afterwards. And that's where I started having a big problem with Colin Kaepernick right there. And, you know, please tell me if there's another example from someone on the right. I just can't off the top of my head. But when you have an issue, if you're going to lead a movement like that, then back it up. Go do the things that you can't control.
And when I heard about that, I was like, seriously, you didn't vote? I mean, you know, I think that's crazy, but, and we need to do a show on this. And in fact, I am going to do a show on this, but when you look at the American flag and all the people who got upset because, you know, Colin kneeled, okay. How many of you know, some people who are waving the American flag saying, how dare you disrespected the American flag, but they are having the flags on the back of their trucks. They are wearing them as bathing suits. They're putting them on as bandanas and stuff. That is disrespectful. And the American flag, there are very strict rules of what you can and cannot do. You know, so when you look at, you know, taking a knee and what you're doing with the American flag every single day, well, isn't it the same thing? Isn't it disrespectful?
Yeah, the thing is, there's no laws, right? You can do whatever you want. You can fly whatever flag you want too. I saw someone had an ISIS cake made, with an ISIS flag once back when all that, and I'm sitting there like, what? And so you can fly whatever flag, you do whatever you want. It's just extremely disrespectful. There's no laws against doing it because, again, that's a freedom of expression.
Right, and there's no laws against, laws against kneeling during the national anthem.
There's not, and that's why I said, as much as I don't like it, as disrespectful as it was, and a lot of it goes to the intent too, right? That's the big thing. It's all about intent. If he was like Ray Lewis afterwards. And you know he did this because he didn't want the people that didn't like it hating him, but he also wanted to have his friends that are in the NFL not hating him either. But he went down on 2 knees with them when they were kneeling, you know, and he said he was praying. And it's like, so he's trying to make it okay, which goes back to the intent on why you're kneeling. Colin Kaepernick was open about why he was kneeling, right? And so he immediately didn't direct it towards the soldiers, but he did direct it towards the flag in the country. whereas people that are wearing it on a bikini or on the back of their truck are doing it in, for pride reasons, like, taking pride in the flag.
But it's
Now-
still disrespecting the flag, and it states that it is, you do not do this. This is what the flag is supposed to be done this way, and whatever. And
I think if he never had the rhetoric behind it, if he just kneed, now some people probably would have asked him why he was kneeing.
Well, he had to say why. He had to say
I know.
why.
I'm not disagreeing, right? I'm just saying if he gave another reason that didn't have anything to do with it. Let's say he just had some other random reason, right? Like, hell, I don't know. I can't even think off the top of my head, but just something else that wasn't directed towards the flag or the country or anything like that. It wasn't even in protest. No one would have said anything. Some people would have questioned it, like, hey, it's still disrespectful, you're not standing, but it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. Because I think it was the intent. And then it was also how he pushed it, after that. And so he made it into a movement, and to this day is still making it into a movement. And we saw he just came out with that stupid Netflix show, which is the biggest joke ever. And I think any black person that watches that should just laugh at that. Because I'm sitting there watching it like, what? Wait, hold on. What is going on here? But I think that was a lot of the reason behind it. But either way, I don't care what you think about it. He has the right to do it. And you have to deal with the consequences. That's with anything. If you say something,
and he did,
he has,
right, whatever. And I think that he survived it. His career may have been ruined, but he probably, said
his career was ruined before that, though. He was benched before that. He wasn't
right.
Even started.
But I'm saying, but now it's like his name is like, before he may have been the bench person, but now it's like, oh, he's the person that kneels, whatever. But I think that people, you do that trade-off. So when you do things in the public eye, what are you willing to do? If you do stuff where you may get death threats or people may come after you, your child goes to school and they get beat up or something like that. These are things that you have to think of when you do things. I mean, even with this boycott, it's like, I've thought about it. Okay, if I do this, could this happen? Could this happen? I mean, I don't know, because you never know how people are going to react. So
you may help inflation, though. If you stop buying stuff, there'll be more supply. So it may lower prices.
But I will just want to say this one last thing, because I keep forgetting to say this while I have both of you. I just think that it's funny that people want to push back on the boycott or anything that's going to stop the flow of money or whatever. And even though a boycott of the scale that I'm talking about would be huge, but boy, people sure were rallying behind those truck drivers in Canada when they were blocking the border and stopping goods from getting through and what have you. So that was like, oh yeah, we're gonna support them. Yeah.
You're right. But you know what the big difference though there is? You're talking about taking a working class community that theoretically is not, being stopped from working, not being stopped from spending money right now, right, and halting that. But the truck driver rally was protesting the mandates that was actually halting commerce in the first place. So they were actually protesting against something that was going to crush the economy. And the means to do it was almost like, well, we're going to show you what happens when you halt, any kind of traffic coming in there for whatever reason. Oh, you're going to make us quarantine for 2 weeks, Okay,
and I'm saying that I want to show you what's going to happen.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Take away our basic rights.
I'm just saying it was going to happen either way.
Okay.
Now, so that's where I'm getting it. The economy was going to suffer either way. Now they made it worse. If I don't know how much worse it was in Canada. I don't know what the numbers are, but it was the same outcome, but they controlled the outcome, I guess was the difference. Right. And then they did it in a way that made Trudeau and those people in Canada feel uncomfortable as well, which wouldn't be a bad idea for the black community if they were going to protest, or anyone that was going to protest. Right. And when I am looking at the boycotts, when I push back, you have to understand, I have a degree in economics, right? I work in finance, and I'm very analytical. So I'm only looking at the analytics of it, okay? And a lot of times I won't even speak on the movement as a whole. I'll remain neutral. I'm just looking at the impact and seeing if it would be feasible. And then I look at, well, the people that are going to protest, how would it impact them? Would it be smart for them to do that? And I don't think it would, because of the overall impact. And I think that when we had segregation, it was easier because you could pick and choose, and it was on a much smaller scale because you're only doing it in one area of the country, or maybe a few cities, right? Or whatever. But you could still pick and choose and still try and benefit the demographic. You only wanted to protest the white businesses, or you were protesting the bus system, which is the government. So it's a little bit different. But when you have Lowe's, who has a black CEO, and you have, how many black people did they employ? And then you have a bunch of black-owned businesses that you don't even know are owned by black people when you go in them, and it's all integrated. I think that you are there's going to be a lot of friendly fire there, and I think it could end up doing more harm than good. But it would have the result you're talking about.
I understand that. That is why it would have to be well planned, well thought out, whatever. And again, even if it was just for 2 weeks, the impact that it would have, and it would make people take notice that the next time you decide to write this bill, or the next time you decide to treat a person a certain way when they come into your store and they're spending money, and you're getting most of your income from a particular group of people.
There's a way to do it, though, and I'll tell you, because I know Paul wants to say, but I'll tell you how to do it when he's done.
So
I was just gonna say, I was for both. I've never been against your boycott. I've seen you post on your Twitter account a few times, and I think I've liked it every time, because I'm all for it. If it gets you, that is how we should be as people. If we want something, but it has to be done right. That's the thing. It can't affect other human beings. It has to affect, like, the government is who you're protesting against. So make sure you hurt them.
Hold on. I'm not just protesting the government. If you have a store that every time, and you own, even if you're mom and pop or your Walmart or Target, whatever, if you are a mom and pop store and I walk into your store and every day you disrespect me, but I see you not treating this other person the same way, or you're a Latasha Harlan's and you get away with murder and you're ma and pop, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. No.
Well,
you are also being targeted. You are also someone that I say I'm not going to shop there. Well,
sorry. I actually thought your boycott was because of the whole voter. They were making it harder for black communities to vote. They were shifting.
It started off like that. But the more and more people, because I have people who I've been talking to. I've been talking to the HBCUs and stuff. I've been talking to various people, and a lot of people are getting on board.
Yeah. Well, for that reason, I'm all for it. But for the other,
she dropped off. Oh, there she is. She is.
So for that reason, for the voter ID, if they're making it hard, I'm all for it. But for the other reason, where you're saying you're walking into stores and you're feeling you're being mistreated or whatever, I would assume that you should have been doing that already. And I'm not saying that a boycott of these companies isn't a good thing. I'm saying that if I walked into a store and I was treated unfairly for X, ABC, X, whatever, I wouldn't go back to that store anyway. So I'm surprised that that's even a thing. And also, it would be also hard to prove, because maybe you're feeling it's because of the color of your skin, but it could have been another reason. And I'm not saying that in your instance you maybe know that's why, because you've seen a white person not get the same, but that's a hard thing to do on mass scale.
No, I mean, and I understand that, but even if you're somebody who you are a store owner and you beat your dogs, if it was somebody like Michael Vick, and I knew all the stuff that he was doing, if he had a store and I knew that he was treating animals the way he did, I would want to boycott him. So now I'm just looking at, let's just take the collective whole. Let's look at this, and this, and say, you know what?
So, all right, I got two things. One, I'm probably gonna regret because it's gonna freaking happen. It's gonna fall back on me. Watch, and I'm gonna be. I had nothing to do with this. But if you wanted to do it, okay, if you wanted to do the boycott, if I was gonna organize something like this, all right. And again, I'm not for this, all right, but I'm just saying. What you do is you look at industries that have a decent amount of black ownership in the business, in the industries, all right, and you boycott those industries, and you leave out the black businesses. All right. Because you can't just go and boycott other industries where maybe they employ a lot of black people, but there's not a lot of black ownership. You want to make sure that you're boycotting the ones that have a lot of black ownership, because then you will actually enhance the business that's being done as black businesses, right? That's probably the best way to go about it. And it probably would be very easy, especially if you're working with HBCUs, if they were going to go collect that data, right? To pick and choose that out, then you submit a list, you get it out. There's ways to do it. Easy. It's really not going to be that difficult.
Michael, right? The things that you have said, those are things that I have looked at, whatever, because I don't want, and it sounds, and yes, I am sounding racist, whatever. I don't want black people to be affected, but at the same time, my point is that there's just too many things in this world where we are affected, and the only way people get it is
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the other thing and I think I brought this up the last time though, but you told the story about the Korean owner, the business owner there, and what happened when they boycotted that business. He came out and said, these people are boycotting my business, and then the Korean people got behind him. Right? If you're gonna boycott something because of ideology, you gotta remember during segregation, the Jim Crow laws only took place in the South. So you could actually physically see, okay, you have black and white bathroom. You have black people eat outside, white people eat inside, black people back of the bus, water fountain, same thing. You have that. A lot of that was government law too. So you had a constitutional argument there, but you also had physical changes that could be made, physical things you're protesting. But ideology, you don't ever know what someone's thinking.
True.
Right? I can come up to you. I can get done saying the N-word 100 times with my family and friends here at the house, go out and say, hey, how you doing, Lisa? And you have no idea. Right? And when you start boycotting ideology, you're not going to get anywhere. In fact, you probably have the opposite effect, because if someone has hate and then you're giving them another reason to hate,
that's why.
And then you're feeding the fire.
True. And that's why I said, like you said, you have to be careful. You have to look at the companies, you have to look at the states who are doing this and who are doing what. I will say that in terms of the whole voting thing, I'm looking at states that have these repressive laws. There's just so much that is going to, because people who have been contacting me, they've brought up some things like, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, well, that makes sense. So it's like you're getting all these ideas together, but the bottom line is what America and the globe needs to understand, that with black dollars, they go a long way in supporting the economy of not just America,
you're right.
but the entire world.
You're right. But then I could go and say that Africa, which doesn't have a lot, would have nothing, because a lot of the money that they do get from their economy comes from white countries and the investments that they do there. Good. You can go there and see all the human rights violations, and I'm not getting that, but it's still something that they have, right? So that would cease too. So you would put a substantial portion of the world's black population in complete jeopardy.
No, and I understand that, but one thing that my sister actually told me was, she says, if you do this, she says, what about places like Africa? And I said, you know what? Just what you said. I said, however, there are people in Africa who are running their countries, who are killing people and raping girls and kidnapping them, whatever. Maybe this would be a lesson for them too. You want to go and commit these type of crimes against your own people, and you are living well off of money that is coming from America or from the UK or some of these other places?
Problem is, it wouldn't change that, unfortunately. It wouldn't help that.
Is this your idea, or is this an actual thing that's gaining traction?
This was my idea that I have been saying for 2 years, and I've just, because I'm just some little person that nobody knows, whatever. I've just been slowly getting it out there and contacting people and doing this and doing that, and people that I know who knows somebody who does this and knows somebody who does that, whatever. So this is all my idea.
So when the world economy falls out, we know whose fault it is here. But I don't go ahead.
It's because I'm thinking about the near future, and I mean, look, this is just me talking. I think there's food shortages are coming. There could be a civil war coming in America soon, and to me, when you were talking about that Latasha Harlins, I had a quick look on Google when we were talking here, and if I didn't read right, was it roughly the same time where Rodney King and the LA riots?
Rodney King happened in 2000. No, Rodney King happened in 1993.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I read something there. It was 13 days after Rodney King or something like that.
Maybe in the year, during the year, 13 days after during the year.
I'm correct. I thought Latasha was in 1999. For some reason, I don't know why 1999 is sticking out with her.
They were both in the 90s, though, and then you have a Rodney King incident, and you said it was in LA as well, so obviously it would play.
No, it's just the way my mind thinks. It's like when civil war happens is when food reaches like 75% of your wages, or there's food shortages. And to me, I would need to look back in history and to see what actually happens there, because I think it is coming. And this boycott, not just this boycott, but other things can play into the government's hands, where they'll just play us off against each other, where we're not actually fighting against the government saying you need to get food in here quick and you need to stop doing what you're doing. Or what they'll do is they'll turn white versus black, or I don't know. The diversion tactics in those times must be huge, because it never ends up people versus government, what it should be, because they're the ones putting sanctions, putting food shortages at risk, and all that kind of stuff. So that's just the way I think. It's and the no, go ahead.
I was going to say you'd have to go back a long ways, because there's never been a famine in a capitalist country, by the way. Or a democratic country, which would be a capitalist in ideology. Yeah, I've already looked. The only famines, there was like one or two. I think Canada had one, but it was like the native people when it got real cold, and like 50 people died or something. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big.
Yeah, it was like sucks.
I don't think so much the food shortages will drive it. It could be something else. Maybe the race stuff, like the BLM stuff, could come back, like what we saw in 2020. The January 6th stuff, like that could be the reason.
Probably infringement of rights. It could be prices, right? Depending on how they handle increase in prices. Like inflation's at 8.5%, but you understand Russia and the ex-Soviet countries in the 90s, when the Soviet Union fell, they were experiencing like 50 to 100% inflation per month. So there's a difference between what we're seeing that sucks at 8.5% and hyperinflation that Germany saw after World War I and World War II, and then what the Soviet Union, post-Soviet Union countries saw in the 90s was a difference. But I think a lot of it will come from infringement of rights, depending on what those rights are, especially if they start going with the Second Amendment and all that. That would probably be the big driver. But damn it, there was something else I was going to say to Lisa about that. Oh, going back to the Africa thing. You won't stop that. If you boycotted the African countries, the leaders you said that are killing people and all those warlords and all that, they'll still be there.
I know. I mean, I don't know. Again, I just come back to say this whole world is just so messed up that, blaming one particular political party or this, whatever, to me, it comes down to individual choices that people make. And I don't know, but I do have to say that we are at the half-hour mark, and I have a show to do in a half hour. But I would like to say I had a conversation with Will, or Mr. Chill Will, and he wants us to do a chat show with Michael Kee. So Chill wants to be on the same show with you, Michael.
Okay.
Not sure what his topic is, but he Kee thinks that the two of you all together. So,
Yeah.
Bob, if that's something that you want to do, then we can get
Yeah,
that together.
good.
We have these filler shows that we're taping to do on the
Yeah,
shows when we don't.
we've got Jester next week, have we?
We have
Doomsday.
we still
This week,
this
Thursday.
this week we're supposed to chat with.
No, for friendly differences like these shows.
Oh
I
no,
think we've got.
he's going to be on my show on
Yeah.
Thursday, but
Yeah, but we're going to do a show like this with him next week,
Oh, yeah.
possibly. I think,
yeah.
and then we could go for the week
We
after.
still have to do Rule, so we still got to get in contact with
Yeah.
him. So, all right, so I am going to stop this recording. Ba, you want to take us out, or?
Yeah, thanks guys for listening. We'll be uploading this one not this weekend, but the following weekend. Stay tuned.
Not the following weekend, because we have Wetcast chat.
Oh yeah. So these are like two weeks later.
Easter weekend this weekend too.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're listening to this, we hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure as always talking to these two, and I'm looking forward to this weekend show, which is Voter ID, I believe. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. We'll be going out Saturday, 8 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Pacific.
12 noon Pacific.
12.
Noon Pacific.
So again, thanks guys for all your support, your views, your comments. Get the comments in, because we do like the feedback more so than the likes and the shares. We do really rely on the questions, and we might even, if we get enough of them, we'll do one of these shows where we just read out the questions and we'll reply to them. So that would be good. So anyway, thanks guys for listening. Michael, so do you want to promote your show?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Real Conservative Talk. You'll follow me on YouTube. It's again, Real Conservative Talk, and then I'm live every day at 6 Central. So you can check it out.
Yep. And Lisa?
And I'm Sally Blue Sister. My turn to talk Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific, where nothing is off limits. And there are a couple of shows you guys should listen to, especially the
Which one?
I faked it show. That one was.
Oh gosh.
So, okay. So
okay, bye guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.